Hello, and welcome to my video, Personal Paranormal Part 3. This one I didn't actually witness personally, so this happened to my wife and our daughters. They were sitting in the living room. All of a sudden, I think they felt like a presence in the room or something like that. There was a hairbrush laying on the coffee table in front of them, and they swear to me, and I have no reason to doubt them because all three of them saw it. They swear to me that the hairbrush flew off the table onto the floor, and it spun around kind of in a circle and kept going back and forth on the floor. Quite a distance from what I understand. Like I said, I didn't witness this myself, but they did. That's the first story. The second one is kind of a touching one, and it's kind of along the lines of some of my previous ones. I had a cat that I had when I was 13, and he lived to 21 years of age. So he was really close to me. And when he passed, it was really hard, and it's still hard to this day. After he had passed, it was a real hard time. Me and my wife still see him. We have 3 dogs right now, and none of them resemble a cat. And like I said, we don't own any cats. We'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden we'll catch going up the stairs like the back end of a cat where the tail's up and everything. And in fact, not long after, his name was Sammy, not long after he had passed, my wife woke up and happened to look at the floor, and she says she saw his perfect form sitting there on the floor just kind of staring at the bed. And she states that all of a sudden, like a blue light kind of came out and it all disappeared. What was interesting was in one of my videos for Strange Things Caught in the House, one of my subscribers, I think he's a subscriber, if not, it doesn't matter, but someone made a comment on there about it was where the door shut on itself. They had stated that it was the spirit of an animal that they said they saw at the bottom of the screen, something move there. But that would kind of fit, because it seems like even though he's passed and it's been quite a few years, we still see him. And like I said, sadly it seems less and less, but uh, we still catch glimpses of him moving around. That's story number 2. I am a union pipe fitter, and we got called out to go to jobs, and that's how it works. And I was working on a job for quite a while. It was almost a year at a high school. It was a combined high school and grade school. I was working with a guy, and we were working underneath the school. It was a dirt floor. Basically, you had to crawl hands and knees to get back underneath. We worked the whole way underneath that school for about 6 months. We would have to bring in water line, like copper pipe for water lines, or PVC, plastic pipe for drains. And there was only one square part that you could, it was like an air vent in the foundation that you could look in there and see where we're working. Well, we always took turns going in and out of it because it was a pain. Like I said, you had to crawl, and there was only one doorway in, and it was quite a distance. So, like I said, we took turns on who made the trek to go out and throw the pipe in that vent hole. Well, it was my turn to go out, and I had went out to do something, and I got sidetracked with needing to help somebody with something else. And I come back, and I had brought the pipe with me, but before I threw it into the hole, I wanted to make sure that he was there so he could grab the pipe. And I looked into that hole, and there was a guy sitting where we are normally was working, sitting on his butt, but he had his back to me. And I yelled in there. I won't use his name, but I yelled in there. We'll say his name is Bob, but his name isn't. I yelled in there. I said, Bob. I said, "Are you gonna grab the pipe?" the person who was sitting there never moved. And I yelled again. I said, Bob, I said, I have the pipe out here. I want you to crawl over here so you can grab it. Didn't move. Well, then I crawled in there after shoving the pipe through the hole. Before I even got to where I actually had to get into where the pipe was, here comes Bob from behind me through the door. He said he had to go to the bathroom, and I said, you seriously weren't sitting under here a few minutes ago? And he's like, no. He's like, why? I said, because I saw someone sitting here exactly where we're working. And he kind of he thought I was messing with him. And he said, you serious? I was like, yeah. I saw someone sitting there. And as I stated, there was only one way in, and he came in from behind me. So there was no way he got around me to get there. From where the hole was to see, you could see the doorway. So it wasn't like he did some sneaky stuff, and it wasn't, there's no way he crawled out fast enough. Yeah, I told him, I said that it must be a ghost. Well, I had done some research, and apparently there's quite a few stories going on about ghosts being in around that area. But moving on to story 4, my cell phone. I have an LG G2 cell phone, and I had it sitting beside me on the couch. It was actually sitting on like a stand or something. No one else was up. All of a sudden, I kept seeing my phone light up. You know, the screen would turn on, which it can't without pushing the button on the back. That's how LG2s are. I think all of them are for the G series. Or tapping the screen twice. And it kept lighting up, kept lighting up. And so I happened to look over at it, and I have a lockout on my screen, which is, was it 9 bubbles on it? You probably have seen it, where you gotta draw a pattern through it to unlock the screen. Well, I ignore it for a little bit, and all of a sudden, I start hearing the blooping sound on my phone, which is the sound it makes when you're running the bubbles to make the pattern. And it was doing it real slow. I'm going to try to record it here. This sound. I don't know if you could hear that or not. It kept doing that sound, and it only makes that sound when I'm doing my pattern on the phone. So definitely something intelligent was messing with my phone. And it was quite strange. I mean, I've heard of, I was going to put on the list that we have TVs turn on and everything like that. We have Xboxes turn on. And even if the phone turns on, things can happen, you know, it's no big deal. But to go through that definitely was different. That wasn't one of those accidents where someone on the same street has your same frequency. So, moving on to my final story. And this one actually just happened to me 4 days ago. Normally when I go upstairs for the night, because I'm the last one to go to bed, I open up the gate down here at the stairs, and I'll let the dogs up, and we all go upstairs, and we go in the bedroom. We have a Westie, and we have 2 Shih Tzus. The Westie is headstrong, and nothing really gets to him other than thunder and lightning. And for the 2 days previous to this, and he would stop right at the top of the stairs and just stare down that hallway and would refuse to go any farther. And here I am, I can't see because it's all dark in the hallway, and I'm sitting there thinking, great, what's there that he doesn't want to go near? I mean, he's not barking, but he's sitting there staring off down the hall and not wanting to move. Well, he did this for 2 days in a row, and like I stated, normally he runs up the stairs and runs right to the bedroom door, and half the time wakes my wife up because he starts clawing at the door because he wants in. I went into the bedroom. Well, they followed me in. I put him in his cage, and I put our newest Shih Tzu in her cage. And my Shih Tzu, the one with the hockey mask on the channel, he sleeps in bed with us. So all that was taken care of, and I had just put down my phone. And I got this strange feeling of something there, and I didn't know what it was. And I just turned. It didn't really dawn on me what it could be or anything like that. But I turned around, and right there, about I'd say 2 feet behind me, was this black mass. It was probably I'm 6'1", and I would say this thing probably stood about 5 foot, and it was basically in the form of theoretically the ghost that you see on on Halloween where kids dress up with a sheet, where it's just a rounded white ghost, but it was all black, but it had that shape. And I know I stated that everything was dark, but at this point my eyes had adjusted enough to where I could see, and it was right there. And out of character for myself, I stuck my hand out straight, almost like a football player running with the ball and straight arming someone. I stuck my hand out straight, kind of fell back in the bed, and I was like, whoa! And it all of a sudden dissipated. And my heart was racing. I mean, I don't know if it was for the fact that it was there or for the fact that it snuck up on me like that and I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, that was the most recent, and that was the strangest one. And like I said, this is gonna be my last one for the personal paranormal. Uh, if anything changes from here on out, I'll save these stories until I can get a couple of them together. And I hope you've enjoyed finding out what is going on here. Uh, so with that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.